What's the simplest way to figure out if a statement must be true? Well, the easiest way is we can ask the corollary, could this statement be false? So we could say KBF, could this statement be false? So let's start with the first one here. Jennifer did not use 2 weeks of paid vacation time to which she was entitled last year. So, I'm just going to say, did not use 2 weeks of paid vacation time to which she's entitled last year. So what about the previous 3 rules can identify whether that statement could be false? So we know she's spending 4 weeks with her family. Just write that out. Let's write out 4. She's entitled to 3 weeks. So there's 1 week that has to come from someplace. So that 1 week must come from the previous week, from the previous year, because we know the only way they can get vacation is from the previous year. And she can take half of her time last year, can be unused to next year, can be pushed forward. So that would tell us there has to be at least 2 weeks from last year in order to get 2 weeks. She had to have not used 2 weeks of vacation from the previous year in order to get 1 week this year. So could that statement be true? Could that statement be false? That she did not leave 2 weeks of vacation available for the previous year? Well, no. I mean, it doesn't seem like it could be. Pretty simply because we know that she would have had to, in order to have accumulated that additional year, she would have had to use. There would have been twice as much not used in the previous year. Okay, so A seems promising, so we're going to put a little dot next to it. And then we're going to go to B. If Jennifer continues to work for XVZ Manufacturing, she will only be entitled to 3 weeks paid vacation next year. Now, the one thing I've kind of noticed in the LSAT is sometimes when something seems too good to be true, be a little suspicious of it, especially in the later questions. So this is like, wow, this looks great. I mean, so clearly we can look at this one immediately and say, well, this just only has to deal with Rule 2. We know that when an employee is between 1 and 4 years of the pair, they're entitled to 3 weeks vacation. So if we know in the first question she's used up her entire 4 weeks of paid vacation this year, so she's got no vacation left to carry over. So clearly she only has 3 weeks of paid vacation next year, right? Wow, that looks pretty simple. Now, what's the problem with that? There's something, this is, I think, a clever thing the LSAT or whoever wrote this did. Well, let's look again, and this was the advantage of writing the greater signs here, is she still at the company, I mean, in 1 year from now, how many years experience will she have at the company? Well, right now we know she has more than 3 years, just over 3 years experience. Next year, she'll have 4 years experience or more than 4 years experience. And we have a rule that tells us whether or not anyone who works at XVV Manufacturing between 1 and 4 years is automatically entitled to 3 weeks paid vacation. But we don't know what the policy is for someone who's been there more than 4 years. So Rule 2 doesn't help us get an answer. And so there's nothing that makes that statement, there's no reason that statement must be true. I mean, that statement could be false. So we X that one out. Next one, C. This is a little bit easier. The majority of XVV's employees use each year all of the paid vacation time to which they are entitled. All right. Now, this is very easy to get rid of. The first rule we have, the subject was Jennifer. Okay, the rule didn't tell us anything about the majority of XVV's employees. We never heard anything about the majority of XVV's employees. The majority of XVV's employees were never mentioned. They're never brought into it. Easy to discard. We know nothing about them. None of our rules tell anything about the majority of XVV's employees. So we can easily cross that out. Last year, Jennifer took only 1 week of the paid vacation time to which she was entitled. Okay, that's interesting. So the subject is right. We know it's Jennifer. And that also looks promising because we know, we have a suspicion that she would have had to have taken at least 2 weeks off. And we know, according to Rule 2, she's only entitled to 3 weeks. Is there any reason that maybe last year she had could have had additional vacation time. Well, yeah, she could have had because we know that if she had vacation time from the previous year, that could have been brought forward at a rate of 50%. We also know the other thing is we're also going to walk into that track. Last year she would have only been at the company. That would have been year 2 of the company. So within year one, she could have not used that vacation, for example. So it's important that we place attention to the word last year, because if they'd said something like 2 years ago, well, then that would change the question, and that might force it to be true. So that doesn't work. Cross that one out. And then sometimes the last one is XVC manufacturing sometimes allow extra vacation time to employees who need to spend more time with their families. Again, the rules tell us nothing about that. They tell us about Jennifer. They don't tell us anything about, allowing extra vacation time to spend with their families. There's no reason that we have to believe that statement is true. Right, and I think maybe what that question is trying to confuse you with a little bit is what it's saying. It's trying to kind of make it look tempting to you by saying, well, she got 4 weeks of vacation. Ordinarily, people only get 3 weeks of vacation, and she was trying to spend time with her family. The issue there is, we have another rule that tells us how she could have gotten that vacation time. And even if there had been another reason she could have gotten vacation time, maybe she got that extra vacation time because her boss just really liked her. There's no reason the statement that she would have had to have gotten that extra vacation time because she spent more time with her family. I think maybe I've overcomplicated that E a little bit here, but just to simply put it by, nothing in the rules tell us anything about XEV's manufacturing's policy. So it's pretty clear originally it's already out. And additionally, we have alternative explanations. The fact that she has 1 more week of vacation and she was entitled to use that with her family, that doesn't mean that was the only reason she got that vacation. We can think of hundreds of other reasons why she could have gotten that vacation. Right, so I hope that kind of comes through clearly. So that gives us E, and we go back to A. So I think, and kind of to draw the wider, kind of lessons we can learn from this test. So kind of to walk through the methodology again. So first we look at the question itself. What type of question is it? We identify it as a must be true question. That tells us that we're going to see a series of rules, and that another statement is going to have to be true from those rules. So when we approach the paragraph, we can just kind of put it out in terms of rules. Some people prefer to underline. I prefer to create these kind of small, almost kind of mathematical diagrams to help me do it. And you kind of one at a time go through those rules. You try to avoid reading the paragraph twice or any of the questions twice, because you're not going to have the time to do it, because you're going to move on quickly. Identify those rules and then kind of go step over step and see the compatibility of that statement with those rules, to see whether or not that statement could be false under those rules. I hope this is clear. I think I'm going to, I have some notes here, but they're not. I think I've explained them enough orally, so I'm not going to. If I unfortunately have it, if I